And, it was just really, 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 really bad. So fast forward another year, so my mom leaves my stepdad for the second and final time. We go to the battered women's shelter, and then we get an apartment in Rockford. But things continue to get so awful with my mom. She was smoking weed. She was drinking every day. She had all of her children, but she treated us like animals. And I ran into my stepdad, and I asked him if I could have with him. I remember, he's the beast. He's the one that hates me. He's the one that could not stand me. He just laughed in my face and walked away. After all, his own kids didn't live with him. But I was so desperate. I was crying out for help. So I made a decision. I need to find a clear path for my future, so I joined the Navy, the late entry program. And in the summer, I worked for high school credits and, for money to better my situation. I was all set to graduate first semester. My mom decides she pulls the rug out from me underneath me again. She moves us back to Dubuque. And because of that, Iowa would not accept many of my Illinois credits. And they said I had to go a full year, which I could not do. So I ended up going to an alternative high school. I needed 2 credits to graduate. I would go to school, then I'd go to the Y to work out, and I would run all over town just to get fit for boot camp. And I would invest in my brother's lives. I would spend time with them. But whenever I was around my mom, it was just, she lashed out all the time, especially when she was drinking. And I mentioned before, she's 4'11", and I watched for years how she was beaten to a pulp. I would never, ever put my hands on her, even though, it wouldn't be hard to overpower her. So I would just grab her, set her down, and but anyway, so I go into the Navy, and at this point, I promised my grandparents I'm not going to be like a typical sailor. I'm not going to be the drunk guy fighting in bars, womenizing, whatever. That's exactly what I became. And as far as coping skills in real life, I didn't have any. All I knew was defeat, violence, and debauchery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through my Navy career. I got honorable discharge, got out of the Navy. The drinking continued. It was a coping mechanism for me. I was trying to ease the pain. You see, just before I joined the Navy, I found the ability to forgive my father. I found out his whole backstory. And because up to that point, I was angry. I was resentful. I had a lot of unforgiveness in my heart toward him. Once I discovered his backstory and what really happened, I found the ability to forgive. And that gave me some closure, some relief, I guess.
Yeah,
But
forgiveness is key.
Yeah, so and through my adulthood, I was still carrying around so much anger and literally hatred toward my stepdad. And I cured it I got out of the military, and for years, my coping mechanism was work, drink, drink, drink. Take away that pain. So eventually, I met my wife in 94, and in 96, we got married. And almost a year later, I grew up in the church, right? I knew the stories of God, but I didn't really trust God. You see, I couldn't trust the people that I could see, feel, or touch, meaning my mom, my dad, my stepdad. How can I believe in this God I can't see, feel, or touch? Understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I had this habit of pushing people away. And trust was a big thing, and you hit on that before. So in 97, I established this relationship with God for the first time, a true relationship. And nearly a year after that, discovered I was going to be a father. And that's when I started having these dreams and flashbacks of what I went through as a kid. Not unlike what women go through when they're raped or they go through some type of traumatic event, which is kind of strange, but that's what happened. And one day I made this conscious decision to forgive both my mother and stepfather completely. They're no longer written space in my mind. No more. It's over with. And I was really afraid of being a father because of learned behavior.
Right.
And so I used that template that model to say I'm going to be the total opposite of how they were, how my dad and stepdad were.
Good for
and
you.
I thank both of them. You know what I thank them for? I thank them for teaching me how not to be a man, how not to be a father. So I thank them for that. So I had my first son, you know. And
a lot of times, like, a child's innocence is not, it's either taken or given away. It's like, but without their control, you know. And but no one loses their innocence. You're able to get it back and not have to repeat. Not everybody that's been abused or neglected or anything becomes a predator. Not everyone down the road.
Right.
Hold on one second. Let's pause with that really quick. We're going to go to our second break really quick. Okay. And stay tuned with Moments of Clarity and our special guest, Joe Potosi, in just a moment.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Hi, welcome back, and this is Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor and your host, and my guest today is really bravely and courageously describing how rough his childhood was, and child abuse is not discriminated against on any ethnicity, socioeconomic status, anything like that. It's unfortunate that it happens, and it shouldn't. It should never happen. And he came up with his book, When the Dust Settles, Between a Rock and a Hard Place. And if you're just tuning in, he's talking about from the age of 3 years old that his father left and his stepfather came in and was very abusive, and his mother drank a lot, and she overlooked a lot of the abuse. And it's been heart-wrenching. His brother called in and was very, very supportive, and it's a beautiful thing when siblings can bond together and try to heal together from the past. But I want to welcome back to Moments of Clarity, Joe Potosi.
Thank you, Tiffany.
And so, go ahead.
I was going to just reemphasize, my mother was just as bad, if not worse, than my stepfather. As far as the abuse goes, if I could say quick. So I can think of two occasions where we were still living in the projects. And the first time this happened, I woke up to, I can hear the bath water running, and the hallway was filling up with steam. So I go to see what's going on, and I can tell she's drunk, puffing on her cancer stick, and she picks me up. I was in third grade, and she threw me in the tub, extremely hot water. And she was too strong. I couldn't fight her off. And then my stepdad came and rescued me. And that happened twice. And there was other times that I wouldn't say he saved the day, but he intervened.
Right.
And
or he felt it was too much.
Yeah, possibly.
I want to welcome callers to call in 866-826-1340 if you want to give support or share something of your own journey or ask Joe or myself any questions. 866-826-1340.
Very quickly. So I didn't mention this, but I think it's important. So in high school, I wanted to give back to the community. So I was a first base coach for 8 and 9-year-olds at a community center, and our team won the championship. And a lot of these kids come from broken homes, troubled homes. And ever since then, up until now, I just love working with youth, up to include high school or college-age individuals, and I want to give back. And since 97 in particular, I got more so involved. And you mentioned the TV ministry, the radio, jail, etc. But I was still struggling with some things. So this is a huge thing in my life, and I think it could be huge for a lot of you listeners as well. I started to journal things that I went through as a kid. When I became a father, it helped me work through these issues. I have to tell you, I would write down maybe a paragraph, maybe two, maybe a full page, and most times it contains some traumatic event, right? And it was fine, but I would read it out loud to my wife, and no kidding, when I would read it out loud, I would get to that traumatic event, and it's like all of a sudden the floodgates opened up, and I would bawl like a baby, and I soon discovered it was helping me. It was therapy for me.
Yeah, it was.
And maybe this is an exaggeration, but she loves to read, my wife, and she works in the mental health field as well for a very long time. And she's like, you should really write a book because it can help so many people. So that's been my motivation. That's been my drive. Because, yes, there are so many people like me, or worse, had it much worse. My story is not unique, okay? But I do feel of those people, maybe they're still stuck in that place of unforgiveness, of anger, resentment, hatred, and it's destroying them on the inside. And it manifests itself through drug abuse or whatever the case may be. I'm not an authority on this, but I just know from firsthand. And I just want to let people know that, look, you might have been through some extremely difficult times. Maybe it was ingrained in you from the time you were very young that you're a piece of garbage, you're worthless, you're never going to be anybody. I mean, I didn't mention this before, but I'll be real quick. There's an epidemic in our country today called suicide. And I talk about this in my book. There was a point in time in my life when I had enough. I had enough of the abuse from my stepdad and my mom. I wasn't looking for that gun. I was going to blow my brains out. And I said to myself, they can clean up the brains. They can clean up the mess. I'm done. I am done. That's it. I couldn't find the gun. And when I went back to my little cubbyhole, my bedroom, a light came on for me. And I believe it was God telling me, look, you need to be there for your sister and for your brothers. And from that day on, I was in grade school. From that day on, that was my motivation. That was my drive. They could not kill my spirit. They could not destroy me. They tried. Believe me, they tried. They'd get me on the phone with my grandparents, asking them to take me because they didn't want me. My dad's sister was going to adopt me at one point. My dad signed me away, but at the very last second, my mom changed her mind because they were getting more money from the state by having more kids. So you see, there's so many people that are just lost and so hurt. And maybe one of your listeners